Okay, welcome back everyone. We are going to add our first rib to our step here in part 3, and the rib is what provides the traction for people when they step onto the step. And we're going to add their first rib down here into our bottom left-hand corner. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the main sketch is turned on. We're going to need these end lines here for dimensioning purposes. And then we're ready to add our sketch. So Shift S, and you want to make sure that you pick the very top of the step in order to place your sketch on. And from there in the bottom left, we're going to draw just an angled line to begin with. So L on the keyboard, and I'm going to draw just an angled line here that I will then dimension. And I'm going to want this dimension to be 45-degree angle from horizontal, and I'm going to want it to be 22 millimeters at an angle from this end point. So now that I have my angled line, I will accept it. D on the keyboard for dimension. Actually, let's go ahead and edit the sketch. You cannot finish before you dimension it. Hit D on the keyboard, and when you're going to do the angle, make sure you pick the line and not the end point. So hover over and select the line, come down, select the horizontal, and drag at an angle, and you should be able to select your 45 degrees. And then for here, we want this end point, and this end point here, whoops, get that back on there. You gotta be careful when you're pulling it out, otherwise it drops to a horizontal dimension. We're going to want this to be 22 millimeters. And now, when we get ready to add the rib, this doesn't have to be fully defined. I like to drag this in a little bit. Turn off dimension and drag this in just a little bit. I think sometimes that helps create the overall rib. So once you have your angled line, we will accept it. On the quick access toolbar, we are going to select rib. And for rib, what we're going to want is a thickness of 10 millimeters. We're going to want to change this parallel to sketch to normal to sketch plane. And make sure you hit extend profiles to part. I'm going to leave it unchecked so you can see what happens here. But I need two things. I need a sketch profile and I need a part that I'm going to create the rib on. So the first thing is the sketch profile. Now, you could hover and select here. Again, I like using the feature tree when possible. So I'm going to select, not sketch 2, I'm going to select the edge of sketch 2 is where it's going from the top. And for my part, it's actually going to be the step, which will be down here. And it should pick it up for you. If it doesn't, you may need to go down and select the overall feature step. And now you can see it added it. And one thing you want to make sure you have is this little groove or cutout here. The only problem is the rib is not extending all the way to both ends, perpendicular ends. And that's because I did not extend the profile to part. But if you extend the profile to part, it will then make sure it extends all the way until it hits that portion that we left before we removed the part on the top of the step. And that's the beginning part for the rib. Check back to the next video. We will go ahead and add our parallel pattern, or not our pattern, but our linear pattern to that before we go and add our holes. See you all in a bit.